Peace YouTube. This is Fleurone coming to you today to discuss another topic of discussion. Hey y'all, I wanted to make another video to kind of follow up on my previous talks about CERN, and actually I found how it is very much connected to cloning, BioBots, and Syntheticas. So let's get into it. Okay, so I was telling you we have a problem right now. Maybe I shouldn't state it like that. That's a little too negative. Okay, we have an interesting thing going on right now on our planet, and excuse me. Perhaps we always. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm drinking it, and you don't even know what's in here, so. You know, I'd be making my own little concoctions, and I like my cups and stuff like that anyway. I recycle. Anyway, so we have an interesting thing going on the planet. Remember I was telling you, I noticed that we have a high amount. I mean, it's to the point where it's a little crazy. We have tons of clones, which are people that are, a cell is taken, it's duplicated, it's placed into an empty egg, and then it's reproduced and it looks just like its host. It is an identical physical entity that is created by taking a cell, placing it into an empty egg, and then manufacturing it. It becomes a humanoid that looks identical physically to the original human it was taken from. That's the cloning process. So, give or take a couple of things, So we have clones that are being manufactured in the droves. We've got Syntheticas, which I'm going to give an example of a Synthetica in a minute. And we have BioBots, biological entities that are basically being run by mechanics. They look physical, they have physical outside and skin and cells and blood, but they are mechanically ran. And they're creating these in the droves. How is this related to CERN, you say? Well, my thoughts were, why are they creating all these entities? I know they want to control, and when I say they, I'm speaking about the previous home court advantage people of the Illuminatis. I don't want to call them anything else because that's what they are. Or the Dark Cabal, whatever you want. You know who I'm talking about, those entities. They've created like a whole bunch of these empty seaters, like these empty vessels. Now, how is it connected to CERN? CERN, which I've confirmed now. Remember I told you at the beginning a while back, I said, I think it's opening up, it's finding portals, and vortexes is opening it up. I think it's pinpointing all the portals on the planet. It's locating them. That's what I thought. At first I thought it was just a locator, finding where the portals were. But why would they want to find out what portals were, where they were, unless they were planning to access them or open them? Come to find out, a lot of these portals are being opened for a short amount of time, maybe a couple seconds. I think it was something like 24 seconds or something like that. But just imagine 24 seconds of a portal being opened to another dimension or timeline or another planet. It could be to various different areas. What is coming out of that? For 24 seconds or more, it's something like that the portals are being opened. What the hell is coming through? And you have to know that there is a high amount of demonic possession going on lately. Remember I talked about walk-ins and stuff? It was a phenomenon before. You could see people that were possessed. And I will go into that in a minute because it kind of goes into this whole thing. But CERN is finding and locating these portals. It's opening it up for a short period of time. And there are demons, and I don't want to say they're all demons, but anything coming here without permission and just coming in and diving into our stratosphere, I don't know if it's really positive. So I can make the assumption that anything that's jumping ship from its location means it ain't very happy where it is, and it's coming through to ours. Thus, the connection of why they're making all these empty vessels. Where do you think these demons are going? Where do you think these entities, or wherever they're coming from, whether it's interdimensional, it's from another galaxy, from another planet, wherever it's coming from, where do you think they're going? Because they don't necessarily have physical form in the way that we would in the third dimension, in this physicality type of form in the Matrix. Where do you think they're going? They're going inside of empty vessels, prepared for them, so that they can infestate the planet. Because remember, we talked about souls. There's not many of them here. Okay? So if you have a clone that's not come from a womb, it doesn't have a soul. It's been manufactured. It's a GMO. Because it doesn't have a soul, it's empty. It's an empty case. It's biologically functioning, but just like at night, when you astral plane, your body's functioning, but you're not out. You're out in the stratosphere or in the ethers, you know, searching, retrieving information from the Akashic records. Wherever you go at night, you leave your encasement, your soul leaves, and it goes and ventures around. And it's got a little cord connected back to the body so that it can find its way back if you ever get in any trouble. But if you don't have a soul and you just have a biological body, anything can permeate through it. And we talked about that before, where I say that some people could lose their soul based on the fact of their low vibrational behavior. So if you're drinking a lot, you're doing a lot of drugs, you're heinous, you're abusive, you're a murderer, whatever have you that lowers your vibration, it allows your soul a soul is a connection to the ethers. It's a connection to your higher self. It can do no harm. It has accountability for its presence. So when you have a soul, it's very difficult for you to do very negative things. And if you do, eventually that soul can't be here anymore, and it dissipates, and sometimes it just leaves. And that's what I talk about, people who do a lot of drugs and alcohol. A lot of them are empty seeders, and they allow for the permeation of another deity or demon to inhabit their body. And it's not really parasitic anymore. It becomes it's like a symbiote. Sometimes it's a symbiotic relationship, but eventually that, to my knowledge, I didn't think they could take over fully. But listen, people, you know, we got entities coming in, taking over full bodies. Like, you could be looking at somebody who looks just like me or you, and they are encased with a demonic force that knows what it is. And it's living in that entity, and its driving force is whatever lower vibration, you know, whatever agenda it has, or non-agenda, because we always assume there's an agenda, like, you know, like there's some sort of like mapped out thing that they do. No, I'm not saying that's always the case. I think that, you know, some of these entities are so low vibrational, they've not had a body or a vessel to be in. They're just primal. You know, fight, flight, and fornicate. That's all they're here to do. They don't really have a focus. They're just here to create havoc, just based on their what they are. So anyway, CERN has opened portals, and they're manufactured all these clones, BioBots, and Syntheticas to basically come in and inhabit them to further their agenda. Now, they've lost their home court advantage. They have. They're done. There's accountability going all over the place. Whether you see it on the news or not, you already know the news is run by them. And even if they're not here anymore, it is still being run. It is still on autopilot. So the system is still running. The old matrix is still running on the old paradigm that is out of home court advantage, but it's still running on that old one until everything's taken over by the new parties coming in, which are coming in now. The sisterhood. Big up to the Andromedans. The sisterhood is here. Anyway, I want to go into that. I'll make another video on the sisterhood, because it's beautiful. It's beautiful for my sisters. Freedom is looking so lovely. Anyway, I'm sorry. I might feed in the video. Some of you, anyway. So the clones that they're manufacturing, you've heard about the clone centers, and all these celebrities are coming out speaking about the cloning centers, and a lot of them are being cloned and replaced. And to my knowledge, if you are a clone, signs that you're a clone are that you lack childhood memories. You have no childhood memories. You don't dream, so you don't remember your dreams any night ever. You don't have any of your childhood, or you know, when you get a scar and stuff. I've got like this. I fell when I was little on my bike. Oh no. I fell on a swing backwards, and I busted my eye, and my eyebrow never quite grew. So it's always been here, even as an adult woman. Even when I get my eyebrows, you know, I do my eyebrows and stuff. You know, I can never really fix that. It's not a big deal, but that's from my childhood. If you're lacking any of those childhood scars, like they just disappear, and you're like, huh, that's kind of weird, chances are you're a clone, okay? There was one other thing. Okay, BioBots are basically biological looking physicality on the outside, they're mechanical on the inside, and the consciousness of the memory of other beings are placed in them, or they're being run by an outside source, like a handler, okay? Those are all around. You have a lot of BioBots, and I believe cloning is a longer process. Like, it takes a while to grow a clone. It's not that long anymore. I think it's 6 months to be able to bring, manifest a full grown clone. BioBot, you can create in a day, and whatever cell is taken from another person, they create a BioBot. It is the age, and it's at that specific, it looks the specific age of the entity at the time that they took the cell and inserted it into whatever they're inserting, like the egg or the cell, to manufacture a BioBot to physically look like something or someone else. And they don't last very long. BioBots are not regenerative, so they tend to break down very easily, but they can be created in the same day. And I heard it doesn't take that long to create a BioBot. It's quick and easy. And it's sad because they've had this technology for thousands of years. Okay, people, so we're not talking about, maybe it's just coming to our consciousness because, you know, we're waking up, but this technology's always been here. So all these entities like Hitler, Stalin, you know, it's a good movie. One of the guys, big up to B.O.B. B.O.B. is blowing the spot on Instagram, talking about the cloning centers and so on. He's kind of cute. I like B.O.B. Shout out to B.O.B. Anyway, he's blowing up the spot on the clones. And he was talking about this movie, The Boys from Brazil. Now, if you look in my account, in my YouTube account, you'll see I'll have movies. A lot of them have been deleted because, you know, copyright laws and so on. But, you know, if I get some good movies and they're free, I put them right in there. The Boys from Brazil is in my movie box, you know, on my YouTube page. So just go in there and watch the movie. It's really, really, really good. I know I'm from that, you know, it's old movies. So I like the whole nostalgic thing too. But yeah, that movie goes in on the cloning process. It details how they do this and how sinister it is. So I would suggest you watch that movie. It gives an idea. And also, what is it, that movie? What was it? Something City. Oh, darn. I'm sorry. You know, sometimes I always have it on my brain. Like 2 Second Tom, if you ever said 51st Dates, like 2 Second Tom. Sometimes it goes in there and it stays. Sometimes it just goes out. Anyway, there's another movie talking about the cloning process and taking people's cells while they're sleeping and pretty much hijacking their cells. And there's a lot of clones, people, and there's a lot of BioBots. Now, the Synthetica, I want you to see a full-blown Synthetica. Now, Syntheticas, listen. The Syntheticas are created usually as toys to the very wealthy. If you ever, I know I hate to detail shows because some of you are like anti-shows, but it's good to get an idea of what they're doing. I mean, if you block yourself from watching any movies and shows, you really can't get an idea of what the Matrix is spitting out at you and what agendas they have. It's good to watch as long as it's not going, you know, be mindful and be conscious when you watch shows because they're inserting, they're inserting all kinds of ideology in the subconscious. So just be mindful and awake when you're watching a show. Take notes. That's what I do. I still enjoy movies. So, but I consciously know what I'm watching and what it could be inserting in me. So anyway, there's a show called Housewives of Beverly Hills. Anyway, and I was notified of this new character that was on the show. What's her name? I don't know her name. She's a new character. She's married to. She's blonde. She's a blonde bombshell. She's like a dancer on the show. She does concerts and so I forgot her name. Anyway, she's new. And she's married to this very wealthy older gentleman. I mean, the age difference is like astronomical. She's a Synthetica. And I wanted you to see this young lady. She's about 44. Now, remember, she's non-melanated, and women that have lack of melanation don't age as well, just based on the fact that they don't have as much melanin to regenerate. That's all that is. And a lot of times in Hollywood and Beverly Hills, a lot of the ladies do a lot of plastic surgery, a lot of Botox, a lot of chemical peels and stuff to try to keep that illuminated look that's very difficult for, you know, for aging for any woman, but especially when you have when you're melanin recessive. You just have to maintain your skin a little differently, harder. Now, but it's hard for you to hide your age when you're non-melanated, when you're over 40. It's very difficult. Even if you do surgery and stuff, you can still see it because surgery doesn't make you look like you did previously. It makes you look like an altered version of yourself. Well, there's a Synthetica on the show. She's a singer, dancer. She does some sort of, she performs for a lot of gay concerts and stuff. She's married to this a very wealthy attorney, which they haven't really gone into his job. I haven't Googled him or anything like that. It's not that serious. But she's a Synthetica. She's not real. She's beautiful too. She's got this beautiful skin, flawless. Her body's flawless. She looks like a perfect, like somebody took her out of a Barbie machine, like, you know, those Barbie plastic molding machines, and just spit her right out and then put modern day clothes on her. She's a Synthetica. And when you see her, a lot of the billionaires and so on have these Syntheticas rather than getting themselves a real wife or so on. They're BioBots, but to the highest level, they're actually all mechanics. They're not real. They have synthetic skin. They look like the real deal. They're able to engage with people. They're robots. Basically, they're just full robots, controlled, and they have a consciousness inserted in them, but they have a control and off switch. They're programmable and everything. Syntheticas are those. She's a Synthetica. Again, she's married to a billionaire on the show, a millionaire, whatever he is. Very wealthy, older gentleman. He's at least 40 years her senior or something like that. She's perfectly, just everything perfect and synthetic about her on the outside and in. And during a conversation on the show, he was talking to her and he like reprimanded her in front of someone, and she just stopped. Like that. Like, it was weird. And I was like, oh, snap, he's got a Synthetica. And, you know, they also get these women so, you know, they can protect their wealth and their family. They don't want to get a real woman because they don't want her when they die, because they're already old. You know, he may not live. He doesn't want some, you know, some gold digger taking all his goods. So he creates this perfect image of the woman that he's desired, creates her mechanically. He can afford to get somebody to manufacture Synthetica, brings her home, has sex with her, does whatever he wants, probably has his friends, because he's probably part of that whole cabal where they do all kinds of depraved sexual things, probably lends her out to his friends and people. She's a Synthetica. I'm almost positive she's a Synthetica. Oh, Kim always calls me during my video. Kim, why are you always calling me during my videos? I can't talk to you right now. Anyway, so that's a Synthetica. Synthetica is totally manufactured. She looks like the perfection, men and females. They're perfected humanoid-looking beings. They're totally mechanical. They're programmable, and a lot of the billionaires and millionaires have them to play and do their perverted games and stuff like that. And she's one of them. Housewives of Beverly Hills. You'll see her. She's a new insert on that show, and she's a Synthetica, full blown. And there's many of the very wealthy men who have these, and women who have these entities living with them to engage with, and you know. And she has that old-fashioned kind of. It's weird. He's inserted her with almost like an old-fashioned, because he's like, I think he's like 80-something years old. Don't get me wrong, he could be 70-something. But he's inserted her with that old kind of language. So even though she talks in modern day, you know, as we speak in 2016, she has some of that, you know, some of that language. But she has an old tone that is only notable to women from that era. You'll see what I mean if you ever get a chance. Watch that. So anyway, CERN is opening portals and inserting all these demons or entities are coming from these other paradigms and living in these empty vessels. That's why they were doing it. I couldn't understand it. Now I got it. So now you have all this madness going. There's madness going on in your matrix right now, because it's the end of a cycle. So it's like balls to the wall. You know, they're like, bump this. If we gotta leave, we're gonna dirty up the planet. so that we know we got to go. And a lot of them have left already through Stargates. A lot of the entities that were here doing a lot of the dirt bounced. They're out. But the system is still running on autopilot until the new energies, new entities take over, which is happening now. Slowly but surely, it's the new home court advantage is changing over to the new paradigm. But it is a slow process. You know, a lot has to be, take it slowly diminished in order to bring in the new. So that's happening. But family, we got a whole bunch of BioBots, Syntheticas, and clones walking around with demons in them. And they're killing people, they're raping children, they're doing all kinds of havoc. They have no consciousness because they're not connected to the Akashic records. They have no souls, and they're walking around doing it. There's some of your family members that look like your family members. Oh, I can't, everybody calls at the same time. I can't talk right now. They always like to call in the videos. Yes. They're walking around right now acting crazy. Now, you know, I've come in contact with many a different type of beings, and it doesn't take me much to decipher. I can first of all, I'm empathic, so I can feel the vibration. And you know, if they're not from here, like if I'm meeting entities that maybe I don't want to say the word alien, but maybe they're not from here, so to speak, you can feel their energies. It's a little more dense, and you can't read them. It's you can't feel their conscious. You don't feel a consciousness. You just feel like an empty. You don't feel anything. It's like empty, and it's odd to you because you're used to feeling an emotion, like someone feeling anxiety or feeling happy or something's, or they're thinking about something. You can feel that on people. You can feel their soul or spirit. You can feel it, but when they're not from here, you don't feel anything. You feel like a coldness or a denseness. Now, when they're demons. Now, a sign that you have someone in front of you that's a demon, one of the major signs, and that's, I know people are going to laugh. Mouthwash was created because, first of all, mouthwash was needed because people are eating a lot of dead flesh. Rotting flesh, you eat rotting flesh. It emits, when flesh is inside of your body, it breaks down and it creates ammonia. And that ammonia comes up in, you know, from your stomach through your mouth. And, you know, mouthwash helps to mask that disgusting, nasty, flesh-eating habit that the Matrix has inserted in our Matrix, eating all this meat. But, you know, we're going to a more holistic, vegan, vegetarian thing. But a sign that you're in the presence of a demon or somebody's not real, they have a smell of sulfur. And a lot of the occultists will know stuff like this, all the witches, people who go into that occult world, whenever they're doing that kind of invocation of all these demonic type of things, or they're using demons to do whatever they want to do, they'll always note the smell of sulfur. You'll always, and that's how I know what I'm dealing with sometimes when I see people and they have a scent of, and sometimes it's slight because we have perfumes, we have mouthwash, sulfur, really funky sulfur, like rotten eggs, okay? If you're smelling that, there's demons around. There's a demonic type of entity around. Also with demons, when someone has a demonic possession, they tend not to want to give you eye contact. People don't want to give you eye contact. They're doing shade anyway. So they're doing demonic type things anyway. But lack of eye contact when you're in the presence of someone could mean that they still have an insecurity of you knowing what they are, you seeing them, because they don't have a concept of themselves because they're not really from that vessel. So they're a little insecure in that way. So they tend not to give you eye contact. A lot of times they wear a lot of sunglasses, or you'll come in their presence. You know, I always question when I see celebrities at nighttime on these, you know, all these shows on television wearing sunglasses. You know, why don't you want me to see your eyes? Okay? Eyes are a window to the soul. Right? So, family. Our planet is being overrun right now, and Pandora's box has been opened. The gates of hell. You know, the Christians go into the gates of hell have been opened. It's not funny. And I always make jokes about it because it's really outrageous. I think it's just disgusting that we've allowed these others to do this kind of debauchery on our planet. That's our problem for being asleep too long. We've allowed this kind of madness, and we're going to have to check it. Y'all gonna have to check it, not hurt anybody, not do any heinousness. You're gonna have to really do work to raise your vibration and do some stuff and to stop this heinousness. Because these BioBots and clones and Syntheticas are all being run by an old program, and it only to start some ish. They're here to start ish. Basically, you got to be careful because we're seeing all over the place people shooting people out of the blue for no reason. A lot of these, a lot of these entities are so low vibrational. They're looking to do harm. They're, women, please be mindful of the gentlemen that you mess with too, because you got entities walking into these bodies, these dudes. You're engaging with them. Remember I talked about STDs, sexually transmitted demons. You got entities walking around here right now. Please be mindful and use your power of discernment to be able to see through the veil. I already told you how to break the veil of disillusion. You have to do that. Right now, it's very instrumental in your survival, because this is fourth and goal. I love using. It's so funny. I don't like sports, but I grew up with sports type people, and my ex was big into sports, so he always used to say things like, fourth and goal. It is detrimental that you pay attention right now, because it could be your life. Watch your environment. Watch who you kiki with. Watch who you engage with, because I'm telling you, there is less. You remember the 5%ers? I know some of you know about them, but 5%ers, I was talking about this with my homeboy, big up Ja. Ja Vega. I love me some Ja. Hey, me and Ja were kikiing last night talking about, the 5%ers, that the break off from the Muslims. But the 5%ers believe there was only 5% of conscious people on earth. And I'm kind of thinking they had a point. They might have had a little bit, again, everybody has their piece of the puzzle of the truth. And they might have thought of it in a way that maybe wasn't necessarily true, but it was true. I personally think there's only 5% of souls. I don't even know if there's 5% of souls existing on this planet right now. And I'm not saying everybody without a soul is negative. That's not true. There's some people who are here who are running on a spirit or just learning here to be able to spark a soul. So we're not talking about them, but there's a lot of demonic type incarnates, other entities, ETs and otherwise, that are here, that have agendas, that are causing havoc. And you guys have to take some responsibility. You cannot engage with these entities, and you have to be mindful around them. Watch your children. And mothers, watch your sons. Because a lot of these entities, they don't like females. Because the divine feminine energy is coming over. Home court advantage of the patriarchal system's ending. So a lot of these entities don't like females, but they violate little boys. Watch your sons, especially around some of these men. If you're a single woman and you have children, watch your boys. There are people here that have a sick, depraved sense of being, and they are violating the little boys. And most people are so careful with the girls. Not enough sometimes, but they really are not watching their sons. And I'm not talking about just little boys. You need to watch your teenage boys. They're being violated out here. There's some sick people out here. Oh, and they're not people. They're not even people. There's some sick entities. And what I used to say all the time, and I know I get a lot of flack about this, is poverty is a sin. Why is poverty a sin? Because people say, why you say that, Flurburn? What are you judging? It's not that. Poverty allows people to do things, some depraved things, in order to gain fiat for frequency of money. So a lot of times you'll see people who have low amount of income doing some depraved things to gain some income, just for the means of getting some money. Y'all are going to have to do some... Listen, I'm a jungle chick. I've admitted it. I'm an elemental. Listen, you throw me in the jungle with zero, I will make it a paradise. You throw me in a mansion with billions, I will make it a paradise. That's what I'm saying. You got to be able to run on no fuel and fuel. You got to be, on a low amount of fuel and a high amount of fuel. You have to be able to be balanced and be able to engage in the world, whatever it brings to you, because you're the one who's in control. Watch these BioBots and Syntheticas. BioBots and Syntheticas, you're not going to see as often. Syntheticas and stuff are being placed in intricate places. Nobody can afford them. But you'll see them if you're in a company. Maybe the CEO's wife could be a Synthetica. Maybe the CEO himself could be run. Sometimes these entities are running their companies, and it's not even a real person running. That's a CEO. It's a clone, or it's a BioBot being run, mechanically by another entity that you don't see, because they can't show up with, different kind of skin or reptilian kind of eyes. They can't show up like that, so they got to have a representative. So they create a Synthetica to be their physical humanoid looking representative. I'm dead serious. I am so serious. We are overrun right now. You guys are going to have to be vigilant. Watch who you engage with and be mindful, because I'm talking to everybody, and I could be talking to some clones right now and Syntheticas and BioBots. Y'all's time is over, and you need to accept that. Listen, I accept every entity as long as you keep in your place, and I know what you are, and I know what you're here to do. I'm not trying to violate you. I'm trying to just live, eat mangoes, lie in my hammock, and talk to my trees, and have my friends and family around. I'm serious. That's how basic I am. I just want to be happy in my natural world, living holistically with others like me. That would be my perfect world, and that's the world I've contrived to create outside the matrix. And thank God I got out of the matrix, but sometimes I have to go in, and it's madness. You guys are living in madness, and anybody doing cocaine, drugs, alcohol on a regular basis, that's also a sign that they're an empty seater. All these people, how you know someone's a GMO, a genetically modified entity also, is they tend to be thrill seekers because they're numb. Cutters are also GMOs. People who like to cut themselves. People are like, oh, you're messing with people who have psychological issues. We're diagnosing that as a psychological issue, but it may not be just that in itself. It is because they are not real. They're cutting themselves because they don't feel. Thrill seekers, people who like to jump out of, and listen, I love to have fun, but people who seek to do things against their nature, against their basic primal need to survive, that's a sign that they're a genetically modified organism. They're not real, and they probably don't have a soul. Thrill seekers, I'm questioning whether they have a soul. I'm not saying they don't, but I'm questioning it. Because if you are connected to your higher self, you are appreciative and you are very mindful of your vessel. You're very connected to your vessel, and you will protect it. You will not put yourself in harm's way. And drug addicts and people who have a problem with not drinking every day, you got to be that's a problem, because they have they're able to be inserted. Because wine and spirits, you are able to be possessed. If you can't stop drinking every day and it is part of your repertoire, that distills sugar, which is very parasitic. First of all, it shows me that you have a lot of parasites in you, because alcohol and sugar, all is a parasitic, that's their food source. So whether you have parasites on the inside, and we can go into the zombie, you guys should look up the zombie, zombie? Big up to my subscriber who brought up the zombie, zombie snail. Look up this, Google the zombie snail. Maybe I'll put it the insert. Look what happens when a parasite goes in you. It can take over your body and vessel. And a lot of these demons are parasites, leeches, that go into you and take over your basic formulated consciousness. And you don't even know it. And if you're blacking out when you drink, if you black out at any time, what is taking over your vessel? That's a sign something is taken over. That means that it has knocked you out so it can engage in the world. And a lot of you don't even remember what you do when you get blacked out when you drink. Okay? So that's what I've seen, people. We've got an infestation of demonic forces coming in through that CERN, opening up the gates of God knows where. And these entities are coming in, and all those vessels that they've been manufacturing over the years were purposefully created to host these entities. Watch yourself, be protective of yourself, keep your vibrations high, and, really, really be vigilant right now, okay? We in fourth and goal, and it's on and popping. So I love you. I didn't want to make this a doom and gloom, but I want you guys to be mindful. This this is serious business in the Matrix, and you guys are supposed to be warriors at this point. We're gonna have to bang it out to make it to the next home court advantage, and it's looking a little crazy out there in the Matrix. Okay, so if you have any comments, I love your comments, and you guys know a lot of stuff too, and I love when you add your little tidbits on what you think it is. You know, again, I'm not a teacher. I'm just sharing my formulated consciousness with you, and I do it so that we can kind of get an idea. You know, you have a piece of the puzzle, and it helps me to understand what's going on and to help us collectively build together to build a better world. Okay? So I love you. Behave yourselves, and we'll talk again. Peace.